Now that I got your attention, let me tell you a thing or two about invasive species. They're a growing problem here on Long Island and all throughout the world. They're currently disrupting many natural ecosystems and habitats, but I bet you're wondering what they are. Well, according to the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Reserve, an invasive species is an exotic species whose introduction into an ecosystem has the potential to harm human or environmental health. An exotic species is simply a species that is not found in its native habitat. An invasive species is able to have these harmful environmental impacts for various reasons. The primary reason they are harmful is because they are not originally found in a certain ecosystem. They have no natural predators. This potentially allows their population to explode, since they have no natural checks and balances. This explosion in population allows invasive species to displace native species and occupy their niche, or their specialized role in an ecosystem.
Environmental problems associated with invasive species include degradation of the local food chain and ecosystem and extinction of local species. Invasive species affect both terrestrial and aquatic ecosystems. Unfortunately, invasive species are a prevalent problem in Long Island. How big of a problem are invasive species on Long Island? Unfortunately, Long Island is home to many invasive species. The island is primarily invaded by aquatic species. Invasive plant species crowd our native plants, rob the water of oxygen, and its thickness may render bodies of water impassable by fishermen. Nationwide, it is estimated that invasive species have an economic impact of $500 million. Long Island's temperate climate and its abundance of ports help to explain why it is such a friendly home to invasive aquatic species. An example of an invasive causing this type of problem is the Asiatic sand sedge. This is a type of plant that has been found on Staten Island beaches. The problem it has led to is overgrowing in certain areas. It has reduced the beach habitat of human and other species as a result. There have been efforts to remove and prevent the spread of this species. For example, there were volunteers who went to beaches where this problem was occurring and moved over 100 of the plants, and they will also try to continue and monitor the species and remove it as more may grow. This same species has also been found in Fire Island and Breezy Point. Another example of an invasive species here on Long Island is the Paris feather, which was found in Oyster Bay.
With invasive species being such a problem everywhere, especially on Long Island, you might be wondering what some potential solutions are. Keep in mind that each solution does have some pros and cons, so we need to weigh our options carefully.
A good defense is sometimes the best offense. In this case, preventing invasive species from arriving in the first place is a great option. This can be accomplished through fishermen checking the hulls of their ships or people not physically bringing invasive species into their homes. Prevention is always more effective than cleanup. The downside to this solution is that it's potentially costly and time-consuming. Another potential solution is passing legislation against invasive species. Such examples of this could be imposing heavy fines against bringing invasive species into non-native habitats or allocating more resources towards preventing invasive species from arriving. A potential downside to this is it may be tough to garner political support for environmental legislation. Shipping companies may be opposed because it costs them business and time. Once the invasive species are in a non-native habitat, how can you get them out? One viable solution is to introduce a natural predator of the invasive species into the ecosystem. This definitely helps to curb the population of the invasive species, although it does come with consequences. Introducing a non-native species into an ecosystem, even with good intentions, can often have unforeseen consequences. In fact, the predator you introduce may become an invasive species themselves. That's about it. Now, how about we interview some fellow Long Islanders and test their knowledge on invasive species?
Hey, do you know what invasive species are?
What do you think it would be?
Probably like some animals that are not in where they're supposed to be, like in other areas.
Any examples you could provide? You have to take a guess of it.
Like a fish flying in the air.
Okay.
All right.
Bang!
Thank you. Now, could you take a guess? What would you think it would be? Maybe a species that lives here on Long Island.
Species that are brought into an environment that's not part of the natural habitat.
An invasive species is a group of organisms that go to a different location and like screw up the habitat.
A dangerous animal, probably like a baby turtle. I don't know.
I know there's a lot of plants, especially in the water plants, and there's also those clams. I don't know what the names of them are.
Yes, the zebra mussel.
The zebra mussels, that's it.
Let's see what some fellow Long Islanders think the best solution is for this problem.
A. Taking part of the male population to sterilize.
B. Introducing a natural predator into the environment. C. Preventing the arrival of the species.
If I had to guess, I'd probably take in part of the male population and sterilize them.
I would probably choose to introduce a new predator species.
Definitely preventing it.
So which one is correct? The right answer is C.
Remember, prevention's always better than cleanup. In this case, it'd be best if the non-native species never came to habitat at all.
Hopefully you become more informed on invasive species and know its danger, so we can all enjoy nature as it was intended.